Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Shooting the Shit with Yankee. As always, I'm Yankee, so let's start shooting. Today I want to know, what do you think is a tactical mistake that people make all the time that they don't really need to? Just something simple that if they just changed a little bit of their behavior, they'd be, a little safer. Is it just not being aware of their surroundings? Is it maybe when they pull up at a stoplight, they park too close behind the guy, they get it right up on them to where if someone pins them in from behind, they're trapped? Maybe they go out drinking while they're carrying. Maybe they just don't carry and they should. What do you think is something that people do every day that is a tactical mistake? Is it a mistake to just wander around with headphones on, not paying attention to what's going on? What do you think is one of the most common things people do that put themselves at unnecessary risk? I don't even know what I'm going to say is the most important one, but I think the biggest issue is a lot of people that probably should carry don't. But I don't know if I can say that's the biggest, really, because what are the chances you're really going to need a gun every day? It's not huge, but it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But I think probably one of the biggest tactical mistakes I see people make, and I make this mistake myself, I'm not throwing stones because this is something I do. We don't let things go on the road while we're driving. Now, I've gotten a lot better at it as I got older. Someone shoots around me now, cuts me off. I'm like, good on you. Hope you get where you're going, But when I was younger, it'd be like, oh, yeah, you think you're passing me? I'll show you. I'll drive you. So I think that is one of the things we react to small slights too much, especially if you do that while you're carrying. That's a bad thing. So there are all kinds of things people can do every day, like remember, park back enough from a car when you stop so that you can get around them if you have to. Be aware of what's going on around you, wherever you're at, know where the exits are. All those things you can do every day. But I think the main thing people need to do nowadays is stop overreacting to minor slights, especially in traffic, because people get so mad. They take everything so personal. It's even like with some people now that are like, the No Kings protest, they're making me mad. I don't know why they're making you mad. Why are you taking it personal? You've been conditioned that anything anybody on the other side does has got to enrage you, even if it's something you should agree with. I mean, I don't think anyone on the right wants a king either. And if we see anything that makes it look like we're having one, we'll probably speak up. But people just take every little slight too personal, and they think they're supposed to be fighting with someone all the time. That's pretty much what I think. So let's go over and see what other people think. See if they agree with me, disagree with me, whatever over here. Tim Allen says, lack of situational awareness or paying attention to surroundings, if you prefer. All hail Phil. He put Phil and watermelon. Phil does protect the great cosmic watermelon. That almost makes it look like he eats watermelon, though. I don't think he eats watermelon, which is a good thing, or none of us would be here. I don't think octopuses eat watermelon. So we're safe, I think. I think that's the only reason we still exist. Mike D, not paying attention to their surroundings. Them their surroundings, you mean? Because if you're going to spell it that way, you got to put a them there in front of it. Got a them their surroundings. Voice text never really gets the right version of words. You think by now we'd have an algorithm that got the right words. Like, oh, he just said this before, so he probably means this. Not so great. The Hendrix experience. Well, it's just Hendrix experience, not the Hendrix experience. So it's just a Hendrix experience. Gun-themed bumper stickers, instead of deterring people from messing with you, it actually lets criminals know where they can steal some guns. I know a lot of people think that. I don't know if it's actually true or not. In fact, I've had an actuarian friend tell me different, but the spaces that makes no difference. They've never seen, because they do studies all the time for that kind of thing. But a lot of people have that opinion, so it's just better safe than sorry, I guess. You may, do what you want, but better safe than sorry in a lot of cases. Go Shadow said, listening to tactical trainers. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff they say I would definitely not pay attention to in your regular life, because they pretend like every day is a battlefield and every day is a war, or every location is a battlefield and every day is war. And if you go around living your life like that, you're going to find problems. Sean Bain, taking advice from their online hero selling everything under the sun. Well, don't buy everything under the sun, but do go buy some guns. I mean, I don't make any money off it when you do that, but go buy some guns. See, I sell stuff too, but I encourage people to go buy stuff, but I don't make profit off of it like a lot of people do. I don't give you a discount code. Here's a discount code for 5% off this item, which you could have got for 10% off, but they're giving me 5%. So now it's just 5% off. So pay more to get the same thing so that I can get a cut. That's what discount codes are, by the way. Where was I at? Mr. Furley chimed in and said, neglecting your health and general fitness. Well, yeah, that is a big one. That's a huge one. A lot of people say, I'm prepared for the apocalypse as long as I don't got to walk up any stairs. It's like, oh, I'm fine running from the zombies unless I hit a curb and my rascal can't get over, then I'm screwed. You know, so yeah, that's something people need to pay more attention to, I think. Officer Hater says, the biggest mistake I see is people not keeping their mouth shut after a self-defense incident. The popo is not your buddy, period. Here's the deal. Here's the deals channel is full of incidents like that. Yeah, people, they get nervous. They've been involved into something that they didn't think they'd ever be involved in. They think, oh my God, thank God cops are here. I can explain to them how it wasn't my fault and they'll be on my side. Now they want to prosecute you. They don't want people out there taking care of themselves, defending themselves half the time. They want someone to go to jail, especially the prosecutors. Edgar Cortez, anything that needs to be said to a police officer. See, that police officer is not going to have any say in whether you go to jail or not, or whether you get convicted of a crime or not. So anything you got to say, save it for your attorney, and he'll share what needs to be shared with law enforcement. You don't share it with them yourself. Like that little incident I had on New Year's Eve. The cops were like, well, just tell us what happened. I'm like, hey, no offense. I'm not mad at you or anything, but this was a very stressful situation with a lot of things going on. If I told you anything, tomorrow a camera could say that it was slightly different, and that would ruin my credibility, period. So I ain't saying a thing. I said, I hope you understand. And they didn't like it, but there wasn't nothing they could do about it. I bet you if I'd have ran my mouth and shared any experience, I wouldn't have gotten away that night without being arrested. Because the other guy got arrested and he was running his mouth. Edgar Cortez chimed in and said, too many people are distracted on phones while out and about. More attention needs to be paid to where you are, who is around you, what you would do if trouble occurs, situational awareness. Yeah, phones are a big problem. I don't get on my phone. Like from the time I leave my house till the time I come home, I almost never get on my phone. Just don't do it. Unless I get a phone call. Now I usually answer that on my watch because it's not as distracting. But I just don't agree with being on your phone out in public. It's just I see people walking down the street alongside traffic on their phone. And I'm like, wow, that's really stupid. It just takes you out of the moment completely. And also, like, you sit in a restaurant, look around, everybody's on their fucking phones. I'm like, and you're with somebody. Talk to the person you're with. You probably seen them all day. Talk to them. We go out with friends. Usually if we go out to a restaurant, it's because we're meeting friends. And if I go out with them, I want to talk to them. That's distracting enough. I don't want to be sitting on a phone ignoring each other. Johnny Mandrick chimed in and said, overestimating their abilities and their guns' abilities. Yes, people do that all the time. They think, I got a gun, I'm a superhero. I'm going to get involved in this situation. And that's not a good idea to have. Because that, for one, it gets you involved in trouble that ain't your trouble. And two, sometimes it makes trouble where there wouldn't have been none if you didn't have a chip on your shoulder. So when you're carrying a gun, you need to be meek. And I know there's a lot of people get angry with that. Like, I don't have to be meek because I'm carrying a gun. Well, then you shouldn't carry a gun. Because you obviously you think that everything's a challenge. And when you think everything's a challenge, you probably shouldn't carry a gun. We got a couple more people weighing in here, and then we'll be through for today. John M. Mandrick says, imagining ridiculous scenarios. I actually don't mind that because that's the thing. Every ridiculous scenario can be beneficial. It can be a game. It's like when you prepare for zombies, like when you play, what kind of weapons will I have for zombies? You're not really preparing for zombies. You're preparing for civil unrest and how to deal with masses of stupid people after that civil unrest when they suddenly can't get their Wi-Fi and their Fruit Loops and stuff anymore. So I don't as much agree with that because I think a good imagination and imagining bad situations, if you have the proper mental faculties to separate reality from fantasy, fantasy can often make you think of some things you wouldn't otherwise think of. John Heasley said too much road rage. Yes, people take everything as a challenge. Everything's, he thinks his dick's bigger than mine because he cut me off in traffic or he sped by me or whatever. Or he looked at me funny or he called me a douchebag in a bar, and I'm not throwing stones because I have done that many times myself, overreacted to something. So I can't say too much, but that's one of the biggest issues with people. And nowadays that everyone's been conditioned that you're always in a war with the other side, the other half of America, it's ridiculous. And I love how people think, well, it's just a coincidence that, basically 50% of the people feel one way, 50% of people feel the other. No, that's carefully crafted. And then we got our last person weighing in. Says, Mad Dog. He says, not being humble. People get pissed for nothing. Exactly. Don't take everything as a challenge. I said meek. He said humble. Humble sounds better because humble sounds like bumble. That sounds like abominable. So be more like abominable. Abominables bounce. Bumbles bounce. In fact, I have a t-shirt that says, don't be a bumble, but I should say be a bumble. I say don't be a bumble and don't be like he was when he got taken advantage of and got his teeth pulled out by that. Not a dentist. He was practicing dentistry without a license and he took all of his teeth. So don't be a bumble. In my shirt, he actually armed himself now, so that doesn't happen again. But be a bumble, don't be a bumble, depending on which way you look at it. But that looks like that's going to be it for us today. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. Thanks, everybody out there for participating. Everybody in the chat today that kept the thing going. Got to hear people's opinions. How about you out there in YouTube land? What's your opinion? Let's hear it in the live chat. Feel free to converse amongst yourselves down there. Talk over what you think about this topic. And if you want to weigh in on one of these topics in person, come to one of our live chats. We do them every day at 6 p.m. Hope to see everybody here tomorrow. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again. Hey everybody, Yankee here. Before we go, I just want to take a second to remind everyone that this channel is 100% viewer funded. We don't take a penny from advertisers, retailers. We don't take money from political organizations. There's no one telling me what I need to tell you. Everything that we do is done through the generosity of our viewers, either buying merchandise or becoming a patron or a Subscribe Star member. You're all the ones that support Pets and Vets and TYMP. And that's the reason I can stay true to myself and loyal only to the people who watch my channel. And I can spend my time talking about what I want to talk about, telling what I think needs to be said, and giving you my uncensored take on things I think you need to hear. So if you'd like to help keep things that way, please support the channel by becoming a patron, a Subscribe Star supporter, or just going over to my web store and buying some merch. The links are all in the upper corner of this video.